Hey guys, Pitmaster here. We're doing Coach's Corner today. I do Coach's Corner about once a month. It's just to help coaches out there coach better. And I feel like I'm an authority not because I'm better than anyone else by nature. I'm just so old that I've been doing it so long that I caught on to a lot of successful coaching strategies. And I've had some success. I've had some world champions in MMA, kickboxing. I've trained with champion boxers. So I've trained really hard. I've had my own career where I've coached myself for years, and I've had some pretty good coaches. So Coach's Corner is where I'm going to help you become a better coach. Today we're going to talk about training, all right? Undertraining, overtraining, and peaking. You want to peak. You want to stay peaked all the time, but you can't. Just as regular martial artists, you're here. Here's peaked. Sometimes you're a little over, sometimes you're under. You go like this. Some people stay under. They just don't like to train hard. Some people train too hard, so they're up here too much. But what you want to do is you want to be right around here. You can't always be here. It's not even rational to think that. You're not going to do that. So you want to stay right around here. As a fighter, you go to camp, and that usually means, anywhere from 9 to 12 week camp. So you start here, and you want to build up slowly, and come fight night, you want to be here. You want to peak. Okay? If you start, if you're always in shape, that's great. And if you train, even in between fights, a lot of guys do, not many, then you stay here. Then all you got to do is work on your drilling and your timing, etc., and you go right here. But if you start here and then you start in like this guy's starting, you're going to end up over here. You're going to be terrible. Overtraining is just as bad as undertraining. You have no timing, no speed. You have no mentality to fight. That's the worst thing about overtraining. You wake up in the morning, you just don't want to fight. You just feel dull. You just feel flat. You don't feel any dynamic drive whatsoever. And that's what overtraining does. Undertraining, you have tons of dynamic drive. You wake up, you want to train, but you just don't have the gas to do it. You don't have the conditioning, the strength, the timing, okay? Here, you have the timing. Once you overtrain, your timing goes away, okay? It all goes away when you overtrain. There's a real fine line here. And you don't want to overtrain. That's the reason being a coach is so important. Because a lot of times as a fighter, especially getting ready for their fight, they get over anxious. And they push so hard, you got to make sure they don't push too hard, or they're going to step into that cage overtrained. And a lot of that's your fault as a coach. And it's a downhill battle once you enter the cage here. So start them here, and then bring them right around here. It's actually better to be a little undertrained stepping into the cage than a little overtrained. You want to be peaked, completely peaked, but if you had to choose one, it's better to be a little under than over. And that sounds, it doesn't sound right. Like you're supposed to say, go, go, go. And you should. While you're going, you should be going, going, going. When you're doing your burpees, when you're doing your bag work, when you're actually sparring, you should be going, going, going. Okay? But then you should be resting, resting, resting. So one of the most important parts of the peak, overtrain, undertrain is push really hard when you're training, but rest really hard when you're not. So you need as much rest as you do hard work, because that's when you're going to build while you're resting. So resting is one of the keys from preventing overtraining. But then working is the key to not undertraining. And there's that fine line. You want to work really hard, but you don't want to overwork. So, okay. Now, how do you avoid overtraining or undertraining? I'll tell you how to avoid undertraining. That's a no-brainer. Just work harder. Push harder. If you have a coach, listen to your coach. If you are the coach, make your guy push really hard. Okay? And while he's in that window of training, You probably train twice a day. Most MMA fighters do. During their strength and conditioning, push them super hard. When they're actually sparring, make them work really hard. Not hit really hard, but work really hard when they're sparring. When they're grappling, make them push for position. Make them work. Don't make them lay back in the guard and think of grappling as their rest. No, they need to be working really hard when they're working. When they're doing takedowns, explode for that takedown back and forth. Explode for it. When they're defending the takedown, work your ass off. Chuck Liddell, his main, the main reason that he avoided takedowns so well, and that's one of the things he's known so much for, was he just told himself when someone got a hold of him to take him down, he didn't want to go down. So he just worked his ass off to avoid it. Yeah, there's certain fundamentals, distance, level, hips, and head. There are, we have, if you're part of our Ohana, I'm sure you've heard my, basics of principles of takedown defense. But at the end of the day, you just got to want to not get taken down more than he wants to take you down. And of course, there's strategies and principles that will help both sides, but your will has to be there too. Okay? So that's one way to prevent over and under training is push really, really hard during those 2 workouts and then rest when you're resting. And let me give you another hint for you trainers. If you're watching your fighter or your athlete train and he has a fight coming up, say his fight is a month away or less. So a month away, 2 weeks away, whatever. And you're watching him, say, spar. Say his timing is just all off. 99% of the time, if he's that close to the fight, a month out or less, it's not because he needs more work. It's because he needs the day off. You need to pull him back. And I've done this for all of my fighters. I've done it for Chuck before major fights. When you watch them sparring, if their timing's just off and they're not getting off and they look sluggish, it could be 2 minutes into the first round. I'll go, all right, sparring's done. And I'll say, all right, you're off today. I'll see you tomorrow. You have to know when to pull your guy back all the way. Okay? Now, that's not saying if he's being lazy and he's not in shape yet, that you should just let him do that. So you have to know your fighter. Okay? If you see him struggling during grappling, when usually he's just on top, he's getting out of holds, he's getting submissions. If you see him just kind of struggling, not necessarily he's tired, if you just see his timing off and he's not getting it, just don't be scared to stop the workout right there. And even if you have other fighters, you don't have to stop the whole training. Just tell your fighter, hey, you're off today. I'll see you tomorrow. Go home and rest. And don't train again today. Don't have any problem doing that. Don't think, I got to train him harder. If he's a month or less off and you see your fighter struggling, give him the day off and just say, come in tomorrow. And don't go home and run, because some fighters are so gung-ho and so paranoid and so obsessive, they're going to go home and run 10 miles. Make sure they know you're off for the rest of the day. I'll see you tomorrow. Don't have a problem doing that, okay? Now, peaking is so important. Make sure you start here or here, wherever you start. If you're starting here, make sure you just incrementally, go really slow. Make sure you know where peaking is. Know your fighter. Know where his timing is. Know where his distance is. Those 2 things go very quickly when you're overtrained. Distance and timing. And without both of them, you're not going to win a fight anytime soon. So make sure your fighter always has the distance and the timing. And that includes the grappling as well. It includes the takedowns, the takedown defense, and the submissions and submission defense on the ground. So make sure their timing is always there. And if it's another thing, if their timing is perfect and the fight's a month away, don't let them spar for a couple days. Let the timing go back to here. Because if it's here and you keep pushing them, it's going to get here again. You want to keep it right about here. So if during the camp and you're like a month or less out and you see that person over here, a little overtrained, sluggish, give them the rest of the day off. And on the same token, if his fight's a month away or even 2 weeks away and his timing is perfect, he's landing every punch, he's landing every takedown, he's landing every submission. If he looks just perfect, but he's got almost a month or 2 weeks to go, you don't want him here. You want him back here. So give him a day off and then don't let him spar for a couple of days and then start him back here again so you can get him to here. This might be a hard theory to understand, but as a trainer, you'll understand it because you need to get inside of the heart and soul and mentality of your fighters if you want to be a successful trainer. So that's another thing I want to talk about, okay? So the conditioning is something that kind of just stays constant. You start them here a little. I believe in sprints and anaerobic work all the way from here. Now the only thing that changes the week of the fight or 10 days out is I still do explosive anaerobic work. I just make it a little shorter. So instead of 7 minutes of all-out burpees, I'll make them do maybe 3 or maybe 2 minutes. I still want the anaerobic work, but I don't want as much time put in, if that makes sense. So everything stays the same in intensity all the way through camp. It just, the duration of the workouts gets smaller. Like they're longer here. Say they're 15 minutes to 20 minutes. Now they're 10 to 12 minutes. And then the final month before the fight and finally the 2 weeks, the workouts get about 5 to 7 minutes at the most. Okay, so that's another very important thing to think about. Other than that, all I want to say is if you train yourself, just always stay right around here. Sometimes feel your own body. I'll tell you the biggest, the most telltime sign if you're training is you wake up in the morning and you just don't feel like training. As a martial artist, every day I wake up, I can't wait to work out. Okay? But sometimes I don't. And then I know, I must have pushed. Then I think back, I look at my log. Oh, shit, I worked out like really hard these last week. So my schedule for workouts, and this is a really good one to avoid overtraining, is their heart rate's going to go up during sparring and grappling, etc. But for the cardio, for the anaerobic, for the strength and condition workout part of the workout, don't ever do 2 super hard ones in a row. I'll do like Monday super hard, Wednesday super hard, Saturday super hard, and then I'll do like Tuesday active rest, a 5-mile slow, 5K really slow pace run, or then I'll have them do something like an easy bike ride on the other active rest. I have them do 5 days of cardio and strength. But only 3 of those are super intense and hard. And then 2 of them are really slow and longer. And then 2 complete days off where they don't do any workout at all. Those are the 2 days they don't even do come into the gym. I do Wednesdays and Sundays. They don't even come into the gym at all. But Mondays, I actually do. Monday they work out and they do a cardio workout, but it's not really that hard. Tuesdays I push them super hard on the cardio. Wednesdays, a complete day off. Thursday, I give them an easy workout day. It's usually like a 5K or something, not that hard. Fridays is all out, balls out. It's the hardest day of the week when it comes to, I call it my mental toughness day. And then Saturday, they do one short explosive burst, like a 4-minute Tabata airdyne, and that's it. Okay? So anyway, I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, whether it be text, comment below, call me, email me. So I want you to be able to push your fighter peak to the peak. Don't overtrain and don't undertrain. Okay, remember that. Thanks for coming.